Hello all, a warm welcome to everyone tuning in to this Oracle IAM Insights session today. I'm Brad Donison, a Senior Principal Technical Support Engineer, and I've been with Oracle for over 10 years now in the identity space. Today in this session, we'll be covering various container-related topics and work our way towards a demonstration of an actual deployment of Oracle Identity Governance in Docker Containers. The demo video will be a second video after this one. So we'll start out with some background information, theory, looking at the Container Registry and the necessary setup to get this all working together. We'll cover what some of the options are for deploying OIG inside containers, and we'll review the online tutorial a bit. The container concept has been around for over a dozen years now, and it's really matured along with the advance of cloud computing. Containers is a natural fit in the cloud environment. Docker has taken off along with Containerd, Kubernetes, and similar related software systems. This video isn't meant to be a complete introduction to containers, but I did want to briefly mention a few good resources right up front. There are some very informative courses and tutorials on these subjects. Search LinkedIn Learning or OTube or YouTube or other popular places for educational content. There are courses on Docker, as we see here. Certainly there are books, classes, tutorials, white papers on containers or Kubernetes, like we see here. These can be very helpful as you navigate these waters. An hour or three can provide a quality backdrop for you if you have no introduction to this topic as of yet. To enable us to proceed, we do need just a bit of theory so we can better understand what we're doing here and why. The advent of virtual machines gave us flexibility and provisioning speed, but we did take a bit of a hit on runtime performance. Containers running on bare metal provide kernel sharing abilities across all the containers and reduced the number of computing layers. We achieved much of the convenience we had in VMs without as much of a performance hit. There are some limitations, however, as we can see in this diagram. On the left, there's only one kernel. So all the containers are sharing the same kernel, and so all of the application software running in the containers on the left need to be compatible with whatever kernel exists on the host system. On the right, those VMs each have their own independent kernel and OS layer. So we see here the distinction of shared resources with containers versus the VM concept of isolation. Containers can be lightweight. They provide just a single feature or function, and then they vanish. In other words, they can be very temporal or ephemeral, if needed. Containers can also run something much larger, like even a complete database, and remain in existence for much longer, permanent even. VMs, on the other hand, are complete and distinct OSs with deployed apps and configurations. VMs have the burden of booting a complete operating system and then running applications on top of it. So generally, they are not considered very ephemeral in nature. If you invest the boot up time and computing power in a VM, you generally have some continually running service or application. You'll notice on the left that I removed one of the containers, so as to indicate that containers can exist for a brief period of time and then vanish after their job is done. So there is no container 4 in this diagram. It ran. It completed, it was successful, and it left the stage. It's much safer without C4 hanging around anyways. Next, we see that VMs will all have their own apps installed manually and configured from scratch, or scripted if we're lucky. Whereas the container paradigm includes the concept of connecting to an existing software repository, holding dozens or hundreds or even more downloadable apps. We then pick and choose which application images we want to run in our containers. It's like an app store for the enterprise. And this brings us to the Container Registry, or Enterprise App Store, if you will. On the right, you'll see the page for the Oracle Container Registry. Here you'll see various categories, and within each we have individual application repositories. These repos store container images that can be pulled or downloaded into our container system for our own use. This would be after we authenticate and accept the terms presented, of course. Now, there are other sources to go to for application images. You may have already heard about GitHub, which is a public repository, and it contains published application images, including some of those used with and for various Oracle containerized product offerings. And then, lastly here, we have in OCI the ability to create our own custom registries, where we can host our private corporate repositories for storing our own enterprise apps for our own use. Okay, now let's go to the Oracle Container Registry. And here we see several product categories listed here, each with many repositories of their own underneath. Let's go to, for example, the database category here. Here, for example, we see 4 container repos underneath. Let's take a look at the enterprise. And of course here, we do need to sign in and accept the terms as shown here. And then it's a simple Docker command to get a fresh database up and running. Now, let's go back to the middleware repos again. Among others, we will see OIG listed. Here, each repo includes the basic instructions on how to obtain and work with its images. In addition to accepting the terms via our web browser, we do need to authenticate via a local container command itself before pulling down an image. Here, for example, we use a simple Docker command for logging in to this particular registry, which houses the images that we're interested in. And the version here is 12.214 without any patches. Now let's talk about an actual environment and find out some of the requirements. Of course, for those of you already familiar with OIG, or formerly OIM, Oracle Identity Manager, you already know that we need a database up and running. We could choose to use one of our existing corporate databases already available for this exercise, or we could set up a local database running inside a Docker container. For this example, we'll use a brand new 19C database running in a local Docker container. Setting up a complete Kubernetes cluster is beyond the scope of this demo video. So we'll look instead at a simple Linux system running Docker. That way we only require one piece of hardware then in this case. We will need the ability to share files across the various containers that we will be instantiating. And if this were Kubernetes, the shared storage would of course need to be shared across all physical nodes of the system. But in our example, we just need to specify an area on the file system which each container will have read-write access to. Docker persistent volumes will be created there. This will allow us to share domain files across multiple containers. And why we would want to do this is because each container will run a specific component rather than using a single container to run everything. So we'll eventually have a container for the WebLogic admin server. We'll have another container for the SOA managed server and yet another for the OIG managed server. Thus, all 3 containers will need access to the same domain home location. Plus, that means that we can destroy the containers and replace it without damaging any of the domain files. Enough disk storage should exist for use with these images and the resulting containers. The image files are rather large, 3, 4, 5 gigabytes and larger. When we include the Docker 19C database, I think that image is like 7 or 8 gigabytes, just for the image file itself, let alone the resulting database files set up after the container is created. All those images, the resulting containers, the space for the domains, and data all need to figure into the storage calculations. My setup has 100 gigs for Docker storage and then 60 gigs for other storage, like domain storage, download files, logs, data, etc. For a simple Docker deployment, it's enough to have a recent Docker or Docker engine set up. The Docker-engine and Docker-composer packages and any of the dependencies that they should have will need to be installed. Then we'll need to add users to the Docker group so that those users can run the Docker commands. The Docker system service will need to be started and running, and we should get a healthy response from Docker commands. So here's my setup. Let's see which Docker-related packages are installed. There are some additional packages that get installed here, Python-related and such, but the key ones to notice here are the docker-engine and then docker-compose. Those are the ones we need to ensure are installed. Now, let's be sure that the Docker daemon processes are up and running. Okay, here we see the services are up and running, active and enabled, so we're all good so far. Now let's check the Docker group. Make sure that this user is a member so that we have permissions to actually run Docker commands. Great. The current user is a member of the Docker group and able to create and run Docker containers. Now we can run our first Docker command. Let's run something simple, basic. We get back a response, so that's good, and it shows us that there are no containers running or stopped or anything. It shows us how much disk space is used. So this is a fresh, brand new setup, ready for use, ready for images and containers. Here we see that we have some space for the domain files, logs, data, and such. For this exercise, 64 gigs is plenty. Now let's take a look in the downloads directory. In the downloads folder, I've already downloaded a few relevant files. We see a tar file there. This is for the Docker-based Oracle database, Enterprise Edition. Plus we see a couple of patch files. These we'll work with a little bit later on, but they are both pre-built container images for OIG, just at different patch levels. Now these are not standard OPatch files. Rather, these are container image tar files, and they have associated readmes with instructions on how to load them into the Docker setup. As the system seems ready for us, back to the slides. Now, let's first have a quick look at what options are open to us in this endeavor. There's been mention of the pre-built images previously. These are available for a number of the Oracle Identity products. They are available on GitHub in their base versions, no patches applied. Or as we recall from the downloads folder, there are some available from MOS that have all the best patches already applied. We will use one of these in order to be sure our setup has the best bits available. And then later on, we'll see how to update our container to the latest bits available. Using the pre-built image is an attempt at one size fits most. It has no specific branding or customization, no additional code or custom configuration. No existing user data is included. It's just plain and simple OIG, which you can build upon then to set up a nice identity governance system. It's non-clustered. 3 servers only, the admin server, SOA managed server, and then of course the governance managed server. The next option is to craft your own image using the WebLogic image tool so that you can build something specific and honed to your particular needs. Building your own custom image is how to include specific one-off patches that you may require. It can include a different version of the Java JDK. I believe the version of Java included with the pre-built images I have in the downloads folder is 1.8.0_281. So if you need a newer version like 291 or something, using the image tool is a good option for you. The last option is to build a custom image old school style using the manual Dockerfile scripts. You can do the same as the above with the image tool. Build an image that includes specific patches or JDK versions or other needs specific to your business requirements. You can include custom web apps even if you like, custom scripts that will set up your desired configuration, and a lot more. All of these options are documented step by step on the GitHub page for Oracle Identity Governance. Let's have a brief gander at the GitHub page now. So here's the GitHub page that I was referring to for Oracle Identity Governance. And it's got all the steps we need if we want to use the Docker files, if we want to use the image tool. And it's got links to that. Here are the pages. So this is the page for, what is this? This is the image tool. And it shows you how to build the OIG image with image tool. So you can customize it and have it set up the way you want. And this is the page if you want to actually go old school and use the Docker files to set up your image. And it's got all the steps that you'll need as examples of the commands that you're going to run. So hopefully this will be helpful. Now with the OIM image, whichever way you came upon it, whether it's custom created, downloaded a pre-built one, having that set up, we are ready to carry on. So the first thing we need to do, which we've already done, is verify that the Docker system is working fine. And we ran a couple of Docker commands and it seems to be ready. So we're good there. Next would be obtaining the image tar files that are needed. For example, the database image and the OIG image files. Note the article number shown here. That article has all the information and the patch numbers for the pre-built container images. So I've already downloaded a couple of those that we can use. And those were in the downloads folder. So we'll need to unzip them. And then we'll need to load the tar file images into the Docker repository so that we can generate containers from them. Once the images are loaded, we are ready to start with the OBE tutorial. With this setup, we'll use the Docker Container database, as I mentioned earlier. We'll have to fill out some variables in a setenv.sh script, make a few additions to a YAML file, and then we'll be able to start generating the containers. We'll get them started one at a time. We'll monitor the logs to see what's going on behind the scenes. And when one container is complete, we'll move on to the next and generate it, and so on. So we'll look at generating a number of containers. We'll be generating the OIM DB container. We'll be generating a container for the admin server. Then we'll be generating a container for SOA. And lastly, for OIG. Thank you again for tuning into today's Oracle IAM Insights session. We look forward to seeing you at the next one.